welcome back to the Wee Larder channel. Today I'm going to be making a delicious traditional Scottish cheese. It's called Crowdie and it is so easy to make. It works really well with the oatcakes that I made previous to this video. So if you haven't tried making oatcakes before, then check the link in the description box below, because it's really worth the extra effort making the oatcakes for this Crowdie cheese. It just works so well because they're really warm, and when you put the cheese, the creamy cheese on top, and then some of the jelly on top of that, it's just such a delicious combination. So I would really recommend making the oatcakes along with this video if you haven't done that. And if you don't have time to make oatcakes, shop bought ones are fine, but it's definitely worth it, the little extra effort making the oatcakes as well. Now, one tip for making this recipe, and I will go through this in the recipe itself, is when you are heating up the milk, really make sure that you don't bring the milk to even a simmer point. You just want it warm, because any kind of intense heat in this recipe is going to toughen the curds, and it therefore slightly spoils the recipe. If you find you have heated up the milk too much, don't worry, just add in a little bit extra cream at the end, and you could also put it through like a mini food processor or something. You're not going to waste your milk, but try really hard just to keep the temperature at a warm, and if you see any bubbles, any simmering bubbles coming up, turn the temperature down, because you want to keep it as low to medium as possible, because you just want to warm the milk up enough so that the curds separate with the lemon juice. So if you're new here, welcome to the Wee Larder. I am particularly inspired by traditional Scottish recipes, and I have a family of my own as well, and I like to cook seasonal as much as possible. And I'm also inspired by lots of recipes from all over the world, so you'll get a bit of everything on this channel. I try to post about twice a week, but sometimes I do a bonus video as well. So if you've subscribed, please make sure to click on the little bell next to it, and that'll notify you of all my videos so you won't miss a thing. So let's get cracking on this recipe, guys.
So for this recipe, you're going to need about 1.5 litres of milk, about the juice of 1 lemon, some fresh double cream, salt and pepper, fresh garden herbs finely chopped, some oats for garnishing, and some oatcakes to serve. And I've also have 3 additional recipes at the end of this video for further serving suggestions, so be sure to hang around because they are super delicious. So I've actually let my milk sit out for a couple of hours just to come to room temperature, and I just popped it into a jar to do so. I'm actually using a large mixing bowl, and I'm using my jelly bag to strain the cheese. You can use a muslin as well, tied onto something, but I like to use my jelly bag because it's just so easy to use. So we're going to start by adding the milk into the pan, and we're going to add in the lemon juice as well. And I've actually just let it sit for a couple of minutes before popping it onto the cooker, and this just helps to start the separation process. So I've got the lemon juice and milk on the heat now, and now when I say heat, it is very low. I'm not even bringing this up to a simmer, because if you heat the milk up too much, there is the chance that it will toughen the curds, and you want to keep them as soft as possible for this recipe. So I'm just keeping it on a low to medium heat, and if you see any kind of simmering, just turn it down. Now you can see that the curds are starting to separate here, you can actually feel the consistency as well. But this isn't quite ready yet. This is just the start of the separation process. You really want to make sure that it is completely separated before you pop it into your muslin or jelly bag. But you can see it is actually working. So this is more like the complete separation you're looking for. So your curds are floating around in the whey liquid, and this is what you're going to drain off. So you can see here, you can drain off your liquid from the spoon, and the curds will stick to the spoon. This is the point where I would take it off the heat and leave it to cool, and then we're going to pop it into the jelly bag. So once it's cooled down a little, I mean, it's not going to be very hot because you have actually kept it quite a low heat anyway. You're just going to want to pour that into your jelly bag or muslin cloth. I do find that the jelly bag is just so much easier to use than the muslin. You can use, if you're using a muslin, it's really good to use a sieve as well, so that you have something to sit the muslin cloth into. But I just love how the jelly bag just makes things so much easier. And you can get these on Amazon. They're so easy to source. And I'll actually put a link for the jelly bags in my blog post on my website. That's on angiemilne.com, and you'll find the post will be on the front page probably, or under traditional Scottish recipes. So you're just going to ladle all of your liquid into there, and you'll see the whey will start to drip through to the bottom, and we're going to want to leave it for a good few hours. Now halfway in between, I actually got my wooden spoon out and started stirring the curds in the, just very gently in the bag, and I just turned it over just to get any remaining liquid out of the bag, and I just left it for a further hour. I put a plate on top of the jelly bag as well, just so that no insects, flies or anything could get in there. Now you're left with the whey after your few hours, and you can actually use this as a drink. You can drink it. Personally, I'm not too keen on it. I do drink the fermented whey when I make kefir cheese, but I actually just discarded this. But you can use it in a smoothie as well. I believe it's high in protein, but don't quote me on that. So your curds are really nice and soft now, but they're holding shape. We just want to pop those into the bowl, but they're so soft that you can actually get a fork through and mash them through. So we're just going to mash them so that we can create a bigger surface area to get our seasonings in. Now I've just seasoned this with salt and pepper. You could also use paprika, you could use any other spices really to flavour this cheese up. But I just wanted to create a really basic traditional recipe for you. So please feel free to be experimental when you're making your own cheese. I'd love to see your creations as well. So please tag me on Instagram if you are getting experimental with your crowdie. So I've just added in about 1.5 tablespoons of cream. It just really depends how thin you want it. I like to go for quite a soft cheese consistency. I just find it just works really well with the oatcakes, but you could add in a little bit extra cream. Now if I was making sweet crowdie, I would miss out the salt and pepper, and I would add in extra cream and honey into this recipe just at this point to create my sweet crowdie. And that's about the consistency I go for. So I'm just adding in my fresh herbs now, and I'm just going to mix those through. I love fresh garden herbs. I just think they work so well in this recipe. You could also use chive flowers, you could use chopped chives as well, or even a little bit of wild garlic would be good in here too. So we're just going to transfer this over into a ramekin dish now. I just find it makes it so much easier to serve, and we're just going to pop that into there. So as I say, if you wanted to make the sweet cream crowdie, you would not add any salt and pepper or the herbs, and you would just add in a spoonful of honey after adding in the cream. And you might need a little bit additional cream as well if you want a creamier consistency for your sweet crowdie. I like a creamier consistency for making traditional dishes like Scottish cranachan. I love making cranachan with this crowdie cheese. It is just so good. And I like to have it a little bit runnier, and you'll see in my short serving suggestion at the end how runny I like to have it. So I'm just topping this off with some oats, and you could toast your oats as well, and that would give it this cheese a really nice flavour, and a little garnish of herbs from the garden. And you could use any herbs in here, but really I'm just using it for a garnish. So I've served this up with a nice green salad, some herbs, some tomatoes, and some fresh black currants from the garden. And this just works so well with fresh homemade oatcakes. And as I said before, it is so worth the effort. If you haven't made oatcakes before, they're really easy. And I have a video on my channel. I'll put a link in the description box below to my oatcakes recipe. But it is just so delicious, especially when they're freshly made. So my first variation that I like to use for my crowdie is my traditional Scottish cranachan. And as I said before, I like my crowdie a little bit runnier for this dish, and I just layer it up with some fresh Scottish raspberries and some oats in there. And if you toast your oats as well, it gives a nuttier taste and it makes them really, really delicious combination. And I'm topping it off with some more sweet crowdie on top and some more raspberries and some oats on the top as well. And I've also added in a drizzle of Scottish heather honey. Now I say a drizzle, but my honey was actually quite well set, so it didn't actually drizzle very well, as you can see. It kind of blobbed down the side of the jar, and then I popped it back on the top. But it was so delicious, and I unfortunately had to share this small jar with the kids. I so regret not making more of them, but I definitely will be next time. You could also use other fresh fruits like strawberries, black currants, blackberries, whatever you have available, whatever's seasonal to you at the moment. Now my second favourite is the traditional Scottish Crowdie salmon salad. This is such a good recipe for the summer months, and I just popped the crowdie into a ramekin dish to shape it and pop it out onto the plate and surround the crowdie cheese with some fresh salad. I've just used some supermarket salad here, but if you have some in the garden, then that's even better. And I've added on some lovely freshly chopped tomatoes, and I like to add in a bit of cucumber here as well, and you could also add in some red onion, some coriander, some chopped chives. The choices are endless really. And I've just added in some small slivers of smoked salmon, and I just think the saltiness of the smoked salmon just works so well with the crowdie cheese. It's so delicious, and this would actually also be a really good combination on top of fresh oatcakes as well, fresh crowdie cheese and smoked salmon and maybe some chopped chives as well. And I've seasoned the crowdie cheese again with some salt and pepper on the top and just a drizzle of olive oil just to finish it off. And this was just so good together. It was such a good combination. And I also love to make my cream crowdie maple toasts, and if you wanted to keep it super Scottish, then you could use some Scottish heather honey as well. Now I've got another cream crowdie here, and I've actually not made it as thin as the cranachan sweet crowdie. I've made it a little bit thicker this time for this toast, and it just works so well. I've put some sliced apples on here, and you could also use sliced pear. You could even use some banana or strawberries or raspberries on the top, or other seasonal fruits like black currants, blackberries. And I've just sprinkled over some almonds on the top here as well, but it also works really well with other chopped nuts and seeds and just whatever you have available. And I have drizzled a good lashing of maple syrup over the top. But as I say, if you want to keep it super Scottish, you could also use some heather honey on the top here as well.
So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the crowdie cheese and maybe tried it with some of the variations at the end. I particularly love the smoked salmon salad. It just works so well, and it's such a delicious summer recipe. So if you did enjoy this video, please feel free to click subscribe. And I'm also on Instagram as well, so pop over and say hello. And if you made the video, please tag me in your photos on Instagram and I'll share them to my stories. I'd love to see your crowdie creations. So take care, and I will see you guys again soon. Lots of love. Bye!